A couple of weeks ago, the middle school was used for filming the Nickelodeon show The Substitute, starring the songwriter Zed. It used some of our own SPMS Tiger Cubs for the filming. Lucien Holm, who was there, says,
The whole time I was absolutely clueless about anything weird happening. I just thought that we were going to be doing exactly what they said we were going to be doing, just trying out classes that they're thinking about adding to the curriculum. But I was heavily mistaken.
For COVID safety, all the cast, or involuntary volunteers, got COVID tests so that they could get the best reaction out of the kids. Our own South Pass Middle got a $25,000 check and letting them film it, which will go towards books and other supplies to make this school better for everyone. If you haven't yet seen it, check it out on Nickelodeon and you can see our school. Great job, Tiger Cubs!
Hello, Tiger Cubs. It's Andrew from Tiger Cub News. Valentine's Day is coming up, so I have some facts about this special day. Valentine's Day is on the 14th of February. Chocolate is one of the most popular gift or gift idea that comes to mind. Do you know Valentine's Day's background and history though? Well, Saints' Day, more so known as Valentine's Day, originated from Christianity in the West, specifically in Rome. It was meant to be a celebration of the two founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus, also the two known gods, Luberus and Faunus. It would be later to be known as a feast to honor Saint Valentine, and it was seen to be a celebration for romance and love. Why is this specific person being honored on this specific day, you may ask? Saint Valentine was executed by Roman Emperor Claudius II, but before he was executed, he wrote a letter for a girl which stayed at the end from their Valentine, or something like that. On the 14th of February, Saint Valentine was buried. The 14th of February was not important and known to many until the 1700s, where the British adapted this myth or story and made it into an actual special day. Because of this, Valentine's Day is what we know today as Valentine's Day.
Super Bowl 55 kicked off Sunday on February the 7th in Tampa Bay, Florida. The best of the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the best of the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, squared off in the biggest game of the season. Both teams featured firepower on offense with superstar quarterbacks leading the way. The defenses had stepped up throughout the playoffs with newfound electricity. It was the Buccaneers, however, who got the last laugh, blowing the Chiefs out of the water in a 31-9 decisive victory at home. The Buccaneers' offense frustrated Kansas City, while Tampa's defense stepped up. Brady won his 5th Super Bowl MVP and his 7th overall, throwing 3 touchdowns and cementing his legacy as the greatest of all time. An injured Patrick Mahomes played behind a weak offensive line and struggled to replicate the magic we saw in last year's postseason. Tight end Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement to catch 2 touchdown passes. The historic tandem of Gronk and Brady connected for the 13th and 14th time in the playoffs, good for the most all-time from a quarterback-receiver duo. The Chiefs fell a game short of going back-to-back, failing to become the first team to repeat as champions since the 2002 and 2003 Patriots. The commercials, the weekend's halftime show, a poem by Amanda Gorman, and a message from President Biden surrounded the game. The weirdest and wildest season ever ended with the confetti falling on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Hi. Today at Tiger Cub Reviews, we're reviewing Terraria. Terraria is a 2D sandbox game that came out in 2011 and has received its final update last year. Since then, it has improved a lot more than you'd expect. The basics of Terraria is to get material and build houses so that you can have NPCs move in that can help you in adventure. In order to progress, you need to get stronger weapons and armor to fight bosses. The difficulty of the bosses and mobs depends on which mode you choose. Journey, Normal, Expert, and Master. Journey being the easiest and Master mode making everything harder, except you get better loot. At the beginning of the game, you're in normal mode until you beat the Wall of Flesh, and then you enter hard mode, which is similar to normal, but there are new biomes, enemies, and bosses. This process continues until you've reached Master mode. Terraria is quite similar to Minecraft because of its blockiness and its survival sandbox elements, but it is much harder and has more content to discover than Minecraft. Terraria is also slightly more combat focused. Both are really good games, and I suggest you play either of them. Terraria has earned itself a 5 out of 5.
In 2012, fossils for one of the biggest dinosaur species ever were discovered in the Neuquén province of Argentina. In 2015, paleontologists started excavating it. As of February 2021, the team excavating it has uncovered 24 vertebrae from the dinosaur's tail. as well as parts of the pelvic and pectoral girdles. Even though the bones are not yet excavated completely, the bones suggest that the dinosaur is enormous. The dinosaur has been predicted to have walked the Earth 98 million years ago.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Political Corner. I'm Sophia Feldman, bringing you highlights of politics for the week. Currently, President Joe Biden's 100-day COVID plan is underway. He wants to vaccinate at least 100 million Americans in the first 100 days of his presidency. And roughly every 1 in 10 people have received their first dose of that vaccine, which is a huge step to turn this pandemic around. Meanwhile, the Senate trials for Trump's impeachment is set to happen. 6 Republicans have agreed that what the former president did was an impeachable offense, and that convicting him for what he encouraged is still constitutional. So far, it's a 56-44 vote. We'll have more news on this next time, but until then, have a nice long weekend, Tiger Cubs.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's News Minute. This week we will be covering 3 events that have taken place over the last week. First of these is something that happened on Sunday. A glacier burst in northern India, causing a massive flood at a hydroelectric dam. The flood killed 32 people and more than 170 people have gone missing, with only 12 recovered. Scientists have believed that the origin of this flood was a glacier that broke loose on a secluded peak, Rompni. Scientists also suspect that the glacier broke free due to constant freezing and thawing, wearing out the rock underneath it. The second event is something that took place on Friday. In San Marino, Pasadena, the South Pasadena police chased after a man fleeing on foot. He was described as about 20 years old, Hispanic, and wearing a black t-shirt and shorts. He was being stopped by the police for overspeeding, but he had refused to yield. As the policeman pursued him, he ditched his car and fled on foot into the Raymond Hill neighborhood. Even after 2 days of searching, the police still haven't found him, which means he's still at large. Europe's oldest person, a 116-year-old nun, survived the COVID-19 without any symptoms in the early 2021 year. An outbreak happened in her retirement home, affecting 53 out of 90 residents. Although she was isolated, she was tested positive without symptoms. She is the oldest person to survive COVID-19. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next week on News Minute.
You might want to take
we're
a
trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.